All right, I thought I'd go live with the basketball after the two games. So I don't know. I thought about going to Captain Will's, but I thought it'd be just too one-sided. I just wanted to have just a general recap. I know nobody's attending the live stream at this point in time, but yeah, I just want to get my thoughts about the game. I thought it was LS. So first of all, South Carolina versus LSU. I thought it was a good game. If you're looking for clutching of pearls, and oh my God, basketball has been so humiliated by this incident that happened at the, with 2 minutes left in the game. This probably isn't the right video for you. I think it's an overreaction. In my mind, it's quite simple in my mind. I don't think it's the end of humanity or anything else. Like the commentators, oh my God, it's put such a pall, cast such a dark shadow over the game. I don't think it's that big of an issue. My overall take is that Cardoso runs hot, and that would be my main takeaway from this whole thing. Is Cardoso runs very hot, and if I would be a South Carolina fan, I'd be a little bit nervous about that. It might not be an incident at all through the tournament. If I was a South Carolina fan, I'd be pretty happy that it happened, because I think that'll keep her in line for the rest of the tournament. But if you watch the Olympic qualifier, y- you can get under her skin. Like Satu Savali got under her skin. Like Satu Savali's gotten under everybody's skin, I think. Like I remember Agumake lost her mind at Savali as well. So, but she's had a few incidents. Like there was UConn where she slammed the ball, which wasn't that big of a deal. And then, but the Olympic qualifier in Brazil, she gave the two-handed push, and you would think that she would have learned her lesson from that one, but she went right back to it. In this game, there was no need for her to come in. It's like that classic football fight where the they come in, two guys are fighting, and then another guy comes in and starts pushing and shoving. No punches were thrown. It's harmless. Like I always laugh at these football fights where they're like, "Oh my God, how terrible is this?" And I was just like, "Please," especially when it happens like during training camp. That's just a way for the players to get a break, in my opinion. So for me, again, if you're looking for, oh, this is so awful that this is the worst thing ever. No, you should probably leave now because I'm not going to bemoan the state of women's basketball and how this is an indictment of society or whatever. No, I mean, it was nothing good. It was overall, I would just have more of a basketball take on it. It was just an incredibly dumb play by Cardoso, sorry, because right there the game was over. Like she almost cost him that game potentially. Like they were very lucky they didn't wind up playing with four. And because of that, I just thought, right there, they'd gotten the breakaway foul essentially, so they were going to get 2 shots plus the ball, and then because she goes in and pushes them, they lose that 2 shot advantage basically because they give HVL 2 shots, and then after that, they don't retain the ball. So it was just, I more think of it analytically. What a dumb play! You've gotten the personal foul if you like, and then you're going to go in there and give a push to protect your teammate. It's like, come on. After the game, Mulkey was complaining about the officiating, that there was, that what did she say? That there were only, I think, two fouls maybe called up to that point in the fourth quarter. I didn't have an issue with that as well. Let them play. That's my big worry. If these two meet in the championship game, I'm worried it's going to be a repeat of Iowa versus LSU, and just the officials will be like, "Oh my God, we've got to over officiate this thing. We can't have a fight if they touch each other." They would do it. I would much rather officials let them play and go at it versus, "Oh my God, we have to stop everything, and anybody touches anybody, we're going to call a foul instantly." The one thing I don't get though, I mean, this is my question in college football, you even look at somebody you just look at somebody and point or anything, straight away they throw the unsportsmanlike foul on you. In basketball, I don't know how they get away with it, but they're all able to do this. You're too small sign. If you did that in the NFL, or not NFL, but if you did that in college football, straight away you get the tech, or not the tech, but the 15-yard penalty. I got no doubt the NCAA will come. Oh, we can't have that anymore. Oh my God, we can't have. We can't have this. It's too disrespectful. I just for me, I don't care. I'm not precious. Let them play. I'm not really that worried about it. Yeah, Mary, what's your problem, Mary? You say, really, dude? What do you think the refs needed to be stronger, or what? I don't think so. I'm not really worried about the refs too, as long as you're consistent. That's the thing that drives me crazy. They said the whole game they were going to let them play, and they did. If I was looking at it, just watching the game in real time, not looking back at the replay, I would say South Carolina got slightly a better whistle on a few. I thought Cardoso could have gotten a few fouls, but otherwise, I didn't have an issue with it. And I know this is the guy that's come in, and I did the video, I guess, last night on what was it, uh, Tennessee Volunteers and the double dribble with Full Wiley. Like, people, if you watch the video on that, I took so much heat from South Carolina fan that, oh, I'm taking the shine off your victory and everything else. I didn't really care. I said I couldn't believe how dumb Tennessee was at that end of the game. I couldn't believe people were defending that as well, because it was unbelievable they didn't put anybody on Cardoso. I don't know what they were doing. Like I said, I don't know if they thought, "Oh, Van Gundy, we're gonna build a wall and prevent the tip in," but, the only way you could lose that game was give give up a three-pointer, so I didn't know what the problem. Yeah, like, I did not feel bad for the Volunteers at all in losing that game. I just thought it was unbelievable that in the college game, where it even looks halfway like a travel, they're gonna call it every single time, and everybody missed a double dribble. Like, they made in the one versus, when it was LSU and there was a double dribble, like, the commentator made a big palava out of it. I just couldn't believe everybody missed it, because I just thought it was really obvious in real time. But hey, yeah, Mary, you're happy to your opinion. I wasn't having a go at you, but I just think if it was me and the refs, let them play. I thought they were consistent. It might have been a little bit too rough, but that's why I like the SEC. Basically, is because they let them play. Um, that's what I would be saying is, go ahead and let them play. And I thought overall it was a good game. Like, yeah, the things that I found interesting in the game, like, I want to get into the game more than this. Well, there is one thing at the very end. Remind me. There is one thing that I saw in this tournament that really bothered me. But the thing, I appreciate that, Brian. But yeah, I don't need super chats. Hell, I just want to talk about the basketball. To be quite honest with you, that's all I really want to do. Um, with the game, the one that uh, here LSU South Carolina is a great contrast. In that I keep on going over in my mind. I don't know if you if you if you if you take a look at it, the the thing I like is that South Carolina basically goes 9 or 10 deep, and LSU obviously is 6 deep. Michaela Williams was out, Poa was out, and with my take was, is it better to be able to go 9 deep like South Carolina is? Like, they got the win, but you could see at that game it was turning, and I think sometimes South Carolina's depth hurts them because they don't get um, consistent consistent flow. Like, Full Wiley had it going at the end of the third quarter, and then she gets taken out, and that's the problem because you have so many good players. You've got Raven Johnson, you've got Full Wiley, you have Tahina Pow Pow, and then as well you have Tessa Johnson. So you have four of those players, and I think Staley does a good job of playing her hot hand, but overall, I just think, come on. it's that little bit of attention there, and then when you get into, like, a championship game or something like that, does that hurt you when you don't have your main alpha guy that can go with the ball, if you like, where people go after, Southern Cal and Juju and how many shots she takes, but at least there's a hierarchy structure on that team. Everybody knows who their alpha is, who they're going to, and what the play is, and basically at the end, we're gonna go pick and roll with Juju. If they throw 2 or 3 at her, then we're gonna dish it. And the same thing with Iowa to a certain degree. And it's that with South Carolina, it's that tension of when it gets to nut crunching time, when it's really getting tight and things like that, who is your go-to player? Because I don't really feel confident in throwing it into Cardoso, but at the same time, um, Tahina Paopao sort of up and down, like she can have those games where she's on fire. Full Wiley, I guess would be Full Wiley's the one, but she really hasn't had the minutes to do that. And really, the thing that she does unbelievable is I find the thing that she does the best is the way that she is in transition. I mean, once she gets in transition, nobody's stopping her. She's just so good going to the basket and things like that. And if she has a hot game like she did today, then she's going to get a whole bunch of points and going to dominate. But that's the only thing that really scares me, or I would be concerned about if I was a South Carolina fan. Now, Mulkey, on the other hand, was sort of like trying to sell it after the game. Hey, this is really a win for us because you know, w we only let one player get off and it was tight like this, and of all the things that we've gone through this weekend, this is a win for us. And I'm sort of like, I'm not so sure about that because really, if Tina Paopau's going off, like, she had an off game. Raven wasn't great, um, and they still beat you. That would be my concern if I was if I was LSU, basically. But there's no doubt LSU, I mean, Mulkey's done a good job. They're obviously looking good at the end of the season versus when the season started, um, as they've just gotten better and better. I go after them on their weak schedule, but you can't say that she doesn't have that team peaking at the right time. So unfortunate yesterday with the injury with Poa hitting, and it was looking good because essentially Poa was playing the point guard, HVL was the off guard, and then they would rotate Del Rosario in there for a few minutes, and they'd figured it out. And I'd actually thought that they looked better because um, I thought they looked a lot better because Michaela Williams was off the bench, and I was curious. I was gonna do a video about that because I think they actually look better with Poe in the starting lineup. I don't know what y'all think, but that's sort of what I think. Yeah, Edwin, they did get killed by the turnovers in the first half, but um, I in terms of HVL, because everybody has a take on HVL, I thought she handled the pressure pretty good. I think she only had, what did she have? 3 turnovers? Did I have that? Um, and I thought she played well, held up well where she could have folded a bit because there was a lot more pressure on her because Poa wasn't around, obviously, and you could tell Raven was wanting to put pressure on the ball, and I thought she held up really well, got them into their offense really well. I do worry about them when they've made a nice little adjustment lately where if they handled the pressure. I think, was it Alabama they played or was it Auburn? I can't remember. They were getting a little bit more pressure. Um, they were bringing Angel up top and sort of using her to break the press a little bit, which I thought was pretty good adjustment by Mulkey as well. You can just see that they've developed. They're doing better on defense, and overall, I think they're they're much better than when they started the season. What was this? I know you're paraphrasing what Mulkey said, but didn't say it was a win. She was simply said we were playing our best ball even with hurt players. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not saying Mulkey said anything wrong. Um, yeah, AK Nation. Yeah, I haven't set up my super chat. I usually don't do chats. I don't know if I'll do it after this as well. We'll see what the people say. But I'm just giving thoughts because I was so excited by the game. I was like, I've got to talk about this straight away. I don't want to just talk into a video and then have to edit for hours and hours. Just like, let's go live with my real thoughts. All right. So I haven't set up a super chat thing. I apologize. Um, I just appreciate y'all being on and being able to talk to people, being able to talk to people about the basketball, and that's all I want to do. So yeah, as said, I just think yeah, I think if you're an LSU fan, you're happy. You've got your starting seven. It's obvious Angel Reese has turned up her game. She looks so much better now than when the season started. You can tell, even with the gimpy ankle, she's in good form right now. Her head's in the game. She's playing aggressive. The the other thing I was thinking about is between the two, I know I've done a few videos on the WNBA. I know it drives some people crazy when I say I don't think Angel Reese is going to be a top 2 or 3 pick. I still don't think that. But if I was looking at Cardoso versus Angel Reese, I mean, who do y'all have? I would actually take well, it depends on your team's needs, obviously. If you have a power forward, then you're not going to draft Angel Reese. But between the two, I would take Angel Reese over Cardoso just on the hope that she develops a shot. And if she does, she's just going to be unbelievable just because her feet are so good. When she's into the game, she's a beast on the board and does everything well. She does everything that you need to do well in terms of she can handle the ball and everything else. She only has one hole, which is a big hole, which is she can't rely on her shot. But if that comes in time, then you just have an unbelievable player where Cardoso is always she's going to be impactful because she's 6'7", but I just think the problem with Cardoso in these super bigs like Liz Cambage and the other ones is you can just run them off the court and they just get them in pick and roll all the time. And three is more than two. I mean, it's the change of my lifetime is how the 3-point play has has changed the game. Yeah, Flage with Angel Reese, and the other big impressive thing with LSU this weekend was Flage Johnson. And again, I'm not going to go off on this thing about reportedly it was her brother that jumped over the stands or whatever. I don't care. I mean, family's family. You know, you can't. She's not responsible for that. I was more impressed how he jumped over so quick, and then there was like the cop behind him that jumped over. It's like, wow, that's mad skills by the cop there. But I don't know, but I would say Flau'jae Johnson had a good weekend. Like in the game before against Ole Miss, like she was really good. She really bailed them out a few times and was hitting her outside shots and really driving nice. You know, that's why I thought we might see a bit more of Tessa Johnson in this because I thought they would use her a bit to try to slow her down a bit, and that's why I think Tessa Johnson like South Carolina has really scored well with their freshmen, like with Phil Wiley and Tessa Johnson. And Tessa Johnson was almost ignored, obviously, but in a lot of ways, she's almost I don't want to say she's more important than Full Wiley. I'm not saying that because I know Full Wiley can go off, but I think she gives them a different dynamic, Tessa Johnson, which they don't have, which is a big guard basically. And when you're going up against a Juju or with a Rakia Jackson or somebody like that, that's why she got so many minutes last. Like I think she got 20 minutes last night against Tennessee. Um, and that's why. Yeah, I didn't expect to reveal my face either, but here you go. Yeah, so that was sort of my thought overall. What else did I think from the I took some notes. I guess the other thing uh, with with Cardoso, it just sort of reminds me a little bit of like Grayson Allen. You never knew when Grayson Allen might do it. And I know it wasn't like she doesn't have a tripping thing, but you just never know when she's going to go off. That would make me a bit uneasy if I was a South Carolina fan. Sort of like when I was rooting for my Rockets for a while, we had Mad Max back when I was a kid. And my goodness, you never knew what Vernon Maxwell was going to do. I don't know if it's inappropriate on Mad Max, but man, you just never knew when Vernon was going to go off one way or another. It could be great. Like he could shoot threes and back himself and everything else, but it's that uneasiness of a player that you don't know if they're going to lose their temper and cost you some yards. Um, the most upsetting thing, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, this is so terrible." The more upsetting thing I saw from the SEC tournament, and I did a video on it, but yeah, but didn't upload it because I thought I'd get crushed for it. I didn't know if it was the right thing to do or not. But I was really disturbed by the way LSU handled Poa last night when she got her injury. I was just like, I don't know if I've revealed in the video before. I have a background as a physio and I've worked as a trainer. And I was just sitting there going, oh my goodness, what are you guys doing? And I decided not to upload it because I didn't want to go after the poor trainer and things like that. Because I've been on the sideline. It's hard. You get lost in the game, or you're treating somebody on the bench, and you don't see an injury happen or something like that. But I put a clock to it. From the time that Poa went down, it took them about 30 seconds to get out there, and by by the time they got out there, like HVL and Reese had sort of dragged Poa up. And I was just like, and I don't blame HVL or Poa for that. It was just, oh, thanks, Paul. It was I don't blame HVL or Poa for that. The trainer should have been out there sooner. And when she got out there, like they'd pulled her up, like HVL like sort of yanks on her arm to yank her up. And I'm like, "Trainer, what do you do? You gotta get her back down." Y everybody know like, even the announcer straight after the injury said, "My god, she hit her head pretty hard." And with a head and neck injury, the first thing they do, like, anybody who's watched a football game, first thing they do is they get them down, they usually put traction on it and put a collar on it if they really think it's a serious injury, but they drag Poa up and she's not steady on her feet. They walk her to like almost a half court, and then they decide to lay her down and put the collar on. And I'm just like, oh my God. And nobody said anything. I don't want to be again nasty to this poor trainer because the trainers are the ones that come early in the morning to do the strappings. They're late doing the treatment and everything else. But that was really, really bad. That was just really bad management. I hope they're having a chat about it just because they should have kept her down. They should have gotten the collar on her and brought the stretcher over. Like, it just makes no sense to drag her halfway across the court and then say, "Oh, wow, this is a bad neck injury. We're gonna lay her down now and collar her up and hope it's okay." Because if it was an undisplaced fracture in her neck, I mean, that's the fears. If you have, and she didn't have that. Obviously, she didn't have an undisplaced fracture, but you go on the side of safety, you would get that on there straight away, to make sure and it's clear. But, the big fear is, oh, you have an undisplaced fracture and you can do spinal damage or something really bad. So, anyway, I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but I was just watching that, just going, oh, that was not good job by the training staff. Um, I will go on to the other game. So, watched a little bit, or I got up at 4 this morning and watched the second half of Notre Dame versus North Carolina State. With that, I keep on going back and forth on. I've done a video on Juju and Hannah Hidalgo on who's. And I think I got it right in that video. I don't always get it right in my videos, but I think I got it right in that one. I think they are co-rookies of the year. They've both won their tournaments. They they do the right things with the talents that they have. So Hidalgo involves her team, um, and gets everybody involved. The other thing I love about Hidalgo is, because of her stature at times, she cannot be totally ball dominant, and she's able to play off the ball. You saw it during that game. At times they were playing her off the ball, and she's just money because she has such a good shot. But then when she has somebody one on one and draws contact, God, she can finish. Like, she's unbelievable at finishing, and I think they are both good players. I know I took a shot at Juju and Paige Beckers, like, on that selfish video I did. I don't know if you've seen it. Got a lot of hate on that, but I and my essential point of that one was with that video, everybody missed what I was trying to do, and I probably did a hell of a bad job on it. But with that video, I was trying to say it was more of a take on the modern game about how, uh, I was trying to be too smart, which made me stupid, I think. But I was trying to be ironic and trying to call Paige Becker selfish because obviously she's a very efficient player. You can't call somebody selfish because they're unselfish and pass the ball. And that was really the point of that video was what's the better way to play these days? Because Lindsey Gottlieb, the USC coach, like she was an assistant in Cleveland and when she was the assistant in Cleveland, she has that NBA mentality of we're going to ISO and give ourselves the most efficient way to play basketball, and it works for them. I don't, and so in reality, I was sort of saying Juju's selfish, but she's actually not selfish because she's playing the way that USC needs them to play, and is Paige selfish because she's not playing that way? That was the whole point of that, and I still go to that. They got the victory today. Um, I got a call. I don't know who it was. Um, so bad manners on me. I apologize, everybody. But that was my take on whether they were selfish or not selfish, and I think it's a real big tension. It's a shifting point in basketball right now, team basketball versus the one-on-one ISO, and you know everybody says can't do it with one player, but I would not be surprised if Southern Cal makes it to the Final Four because it is just impossible to stop Juju because she is so big and she just works people to the elbow like Kobe did, and she just dominates. And then when you set your game plan to stop her, she'll get the pass off. So that's the between those two, I think they have to be co-freshman of the year. But that's the interesting point, and it'll be interesting in the tournament because I've sort of pulled. I like covering UConn, but I've sort of gone away from it a little bit because um, with doing UConn, just because the Big East is so bad right now. But they have too. If Edwards' nose is okay, I'm curious if Paige Beckers will sort of modify her game going into the tournament to be able to make a difference, to make a drive to get them to the Final Four. Because if you have two, I know they have three rookies and don't have much depth, but if you have two players and they're generational players, then you can make a run. And essentially, USC has Juju, they've got Rhea Marshall. That's enough, and then they have four. The big advantage for them is they can go to Forbes when Juju's not going very well. But yeah, that was my think on that. I'll just look at some of the questions here. USC and Notre. Let's see. So um, SC Quaydog 78. The refs were bad both ways. They should have stopped the flying elbows from LSU first. They didn't want to foul out the players. They let everything go. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like, I think Anissa Morrow had one where she was like, she got a rebound. She just flew her elbows out. And I was like, wow, that's pretty damn dangerous. But again, uh, wasn't great, but I'd rather it be undercalling than overcalling. USC and Notre Dame are playing good ball, right? Yeah, they are. So I think they're I think USC is slightly better than Notre Dame. Citron sort of seems to go hot and cold. I don't know if her knee is all the way. She did her knee midway through the season. I don't know if her knee is really that good. And I think they lost. Did they lose Watkins today as well, or they lose Watkins yesterday? So that'll hurt them. They're really short, but man, Hidalgo is just so good. And then who's oh God, I've forgotten. Who's the power forward? God, her name's just escaped me. Somebody help me. Who's the power forward for Notre Dame? She gets all their points. If it's not Hidalgo, who's the power forward? Oh God, it's gonna bother me. But anyway, I can't remember. Um, Westfeld, thank you, Maddie Westfeld. Yes, thank you. Um, yeah, with Westfeld, they've got two. So I was really pessimistic a little bit on when Olivia Miles comes back, but now that I can see Hannah Hidalgo like she's not coming back this year, but for next season, I was worried about Hidalgo and Miles playing together. But now that I can see Hidalgo can play off the ball, I'm a little bit less nervous about that. But man, it makes me worry if you're thinking about taking the ball out of Hannah Hidalgo's hands because Hidalgo is so efficient, but Miles almost has to have the ball in her hands to be efficient. So let's see some of the other ones here. As far as Poa, the LSU's players had her more harm, did her more harm trying to move her. Yeah, but that's not on the player's fault. That's again with Poa, the 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 trainer usually gets out there and says, "Hey, get away! I've got it. Everybody clear out. Let's give him some air. It's me to handle." So I don't blame the players on that. They thought they were doing the right thing. Um, I like how y'all were arguing HVL versus Poa. Who should come off the bench when MK might have been the yeah, you're 100% right there, Santel. Yeah, 100%. So really, I think somebody mentioned it to me in the comments as well about, hey, maybe Michaela Williams because she's been a little bit up and down. She's really, if you look at her, I looked at her numbers the other day, like I did on a spreadsheet, and since the South Carolina game, I think before that she was shooting like 50%. Since the South Carolina game, been about 40%. I don't know if that's because her plantar fasciitis. That's good that she has plantar fasciitis. I was worried that it might be like a stress, like like the onset of a stress fracture, but it's plantar fasciitis, so she should be fine for the tournament. But yeah, I think that would be their lineup is Poa, HVL, and then I think Michaela Williams coming out gives their lineup a bit of a kick. I like that much better than bringing Poa off the bench, in my opinion. I agree with that. I'm not sure what everybody else thinks, but that's me. Um, but anyway, I think I think that's I've gone for 30 minutes. That's way too much of me. Any other questions before I go? SC survived with 6 players in the first round. If that was the case, yeah, I think SC would go fine with 6 players. So you're talking South Carolina, I assume. Yeah, I think that Edwin. Yeah, I think they go fine with 6 players. Like I think you sort of heard me say it before. I sort of had a word salad with it, but I think SC's depth hurts them. Um, yeah, probably 4. 3's a bit much, but 4. I would have loved to seen them coming out and finishing the game with 4. That would have been unbelievable. And to be honest, I need to look at the film again. Was who was who they have on? Sakima Walker. Did Sakima Walker? What did she stay in the bench, or did they just say that she stayed in the bench area to keep her in the game? Because it looked like she moved just as much as, Watkins moved, I thought, or no, it was, who was it? It was Kits. Like, I thought Walker and Kits were right next to each other, so I'm not sure how Kits got tossed. Thanks for that, Santel. I appreciate it. Thank you. But, yeah, that would have been awesome if it would have been 4 players. Would have loved to have seen that. Um, yeah, so anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Like I said, I just really wanted to. What do I think about? See, I haven't watched much Iowa because, and here's the thing, um, uh, everybody and their dog covers Caitlin Clark, so I'm just like, oh God, everybody watches Caitlin Clark, and I don't have a heck of a lot to say about it. She's good. She can shoot from outside. If she's on her game, she will crush you. If she's not, then she won't. I sort of did my preseason video of them. I was like, they had their best chance to win it last year, and Susanna's moved on. I think they have a different look with who is it? Stalky, Hannah Stalky. Did I pronounce that right? She gives them more athleticism, but I just don't know if they have enough. Uh, I worry about the injury that they had, the knee injury to Molly Davis, because that's 3-point shooting that they needed. Um, and they're the best thing that happened is they got the 1 seed, which I think is important for Iowa, in my opinion, because uh, if they Cream had some early ones where they were going to be in South Carolina's pool, and I was like, ooh, that's not good for them, and probably not good for the tournament as well. But as a 1 seed, they might be able to make it back to the Final Four if they don't have, if Caitlin Clark doesn't have a real off game, But I think overall, I'm I don't feel well informed on the Big Ten just because I haven't seen many of their games. I've seen a few ACC ones. Virginia Tech is devastating with Kitley going out, and that's my overall take. I still say, and I'm probably biased. Hell, I'll admit my bias. People think that I'm a hater on some teams. I'm not. I think I my take is that I think the Pac-12 is the strongest conference in my opinion, but again, I could be biased because I watch it more than anybody. I think that top 6, they just beat each other up. That being said, I don't trust UCLA. I love Corey Close as a coach. I love the way she gives coach speak. I love her in press conferences, but I don't trust her. I don't trust her in big games, and I don't want to be mean to her because I really want her to do well. Even after they lost to USC, I love the way she handled it. She said it was me, the buck stops with me and everything else. I love the way she handles that, but I just don't trust them. And I think you have to do more with that team. If you have Lauren Betts and you have Osborne and you have Kiki Rice and you have shooting and London Jones off the bench and you have Iwala, they have and you got who was it? Uh Jaquez. They're so you just have to they have to do better than I thought they would win the Pac-12. I really did. But I don't know. I could see UCLA making it to the Final Four, but then again, I could see them just sort of having a bad shooting night and get crumpled and not be able to get transition. Let's see. Jill says UConn's not winning this year. Sad face. You never is probably not. But again, as always say, if you have to, and if Edward's right, you got a chance. And if you got Paige Beckers and you got Aaliyah Edwards, and Edwards is if the injury to the nose does not impact her, then you have a chance. I wouldn't underestimate them. The thing I worry about with them is they're so dependent on the rookies, and these rookies are all start except for Juju and Hidalgo. You can see Michaela Williams is wearing down. You can see at times Full Wiley looked like she was wearing down a bit. I mean, these guys would be done playing in high school. So you think they'll take another level when they get back into the tournament. But I think that um, it's a tough gig depending on the 3 rookies for UConn, with Shade, who's the other one, KK, and then you never know what you're going to get off Q. Like Q can have a game where she'll you know, hit the three-pointer and be amazing, and then she'll have another one like you're like, "Oh, she's killing us on offense and she's killing us on defense, and what are we gonna do?" And then I just don't trust Ice Brady either. Like, I haven't watched enough of UConn's games lately. Is Ice Brady looking any better? That's my question. You kn and Jill, you say that about Paige, but I just wonder if she's sort of conserving herself, and if it's like I don't know if she has this where she can go, yeah, I'm gonna go full on Juju, and we're going to I'm taking my 30 shots today, and here we go. So has she been playing a really clever game that we're going to do team ball. I'm going to develop the rookies or the freshmen as best I can, and now it's tournament time. I'm going to turn it up, and we are just going to run pick and roll with me and Aaliyah to death, and here we go. Yeah, I've got no doubt. But again, it's the Big Ten. Not the Big Ten. It's the Big East. That's the problem. That's the problem with UConn right now is they play in the Big East, and it's like it's hard for me to judge off them when you see LSU and South Carolina killing each other, and you see as well in the Pac-12. It just looks like a different level of basketball. Like UConn's good, but their competition just isn't at that level in the Big East. And I do a lot of UConn videos, and funny, UConn people think I'm haters of UConn. I'm not. I like UConn. I like watching them play. I love Gino and his press conferences. I really like all the teams, to be quite honest. People think I have one bias or another. It always cracks me up because South Carolina fans, like after the video on Tennessee, they thought, taking away Cardoso's shine, and then LSU fans, I hate HBL, and I don't mind anybody, but yeah, I want to see Ice do it in the tournament. That's what UConn needs. I need Ice Brady to have a big damn tournament to set them up for next year because I think you've seen in my other videos. I obviously think Aaliyah Edwards is going. I think she is definitely going to be going to the WNBA, and they need a big. And nobody knows who Sarah Strong's going. I've got no idea. Where Sarah Strong's going. It could be UConn, it could be South Carolina, it could be LSU. Mulkey was at one of her games recently. And then supposedly, didn't she friend on Instagram or Twitter, like, now she's following the Tennessee coach, so I don't know, but I do know that, um, yeah, UConn needs their bigs to deliver. They were hoping that, um, the who was it? El Alfie would be the one for them this year, and with her Achilles injury and bigs with feet injuries always make me nervous, but we shall see. Again, I said I'd wrap it up 15 minutes ago, and I kept on going. Um, yeah, Jill, you can't cut people though. I mean, if you cut somebody and your reputation gets out there, if recruits take a look at that, hey, we you cut Amari DeBerry. You said you were going to do all this for her, and you didn't like the way she played, and get the heck out of here. People remember that. So I don't think it's just as easy to say, hey, the one I do wonder if they're going to get another spot open is Descharm, because I don't think Descharm can play. I mean, she needs at least a year off, in my opinion. I mean, they'll manage it however they thought. I thought they should have redshirted her this year just to give her a full 12 months off and tried to reboot her that year instead of going after she had the ball hit her in the head when she was overseas. Um, let's see, last few. Personal opinion, UConn needs to cut some. Yeah, so I said that. Iowa, South Carolina, UConn fans think everybody hates their team. Exactly. And I did. I don't know if you've seen it. I've done a ridiculous video on, the number one hated team. And I was totally tongue in cheek because you want your team to be hated. If you're not hated, the whole joke of the video was nobody hates my Houston Texans. We're that team that gets to play the wild card game on the early Saturday game because nobody cares about us. If you're hated, then you're great, or either you're hated and you're great, or you're the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, sorry, Dallas Cowboys, but you know what I'm meaning is that nobody gave a damn about the Patriots before they started winning. Then they win, 6 or 5 Super Bowls, and oh my God, everybody hates the Patriot way, and it's the same way. You love it that you're hated. Like I celebrated LSU being hated. It's like congratulations. So let's see. South Carolina just have a higher defensive ceiling than LSU, unless you have insane offensively talented players like Cardoso, Juju. I don't see anyone beating South Carolina. Yeah, you say that, but at the same time, they have that going on with how good their defense is, and I agree with that. But then the one hole in them is when they can't score on offense, who do you go to get that bucket? Like we have to go to somebody to get a bucket. And the thing that LSU has a little bit. They can throw it to Angel Reese and maybe a little bit Michaela Williams. Who do they have in terms of who can get us that money basket? That's the essential tension I see between those teams. And that's they have so much depth, but does I don't know if you remember a few years. You remember a few years ago when the Atlanta Hawks made a run before they got the little point guard. Before that, they had like 10, like 7 really 8 really above average WNBA players, and they could all shoot, and they had a nice little run, but then they got in the playoff game, and I think it was Miami, they just locked them down, and that would be my yeah, before Trey, exactly right. Um, and they just lock them down, and that's my worry with South Carolina on offense is they can get very, very stagnant, and who are you going with? Are you going Chloe Kitts? Like, I don't see it. Bree Hall is up and down on offense. Full Wiley, if she's in transition, is brilliant, and if she's hot in the game, she's brilliant. Same thing with Tahina Pow. She can have great games, but then she can have games where she's taken out and really not quite athletic enough to get her own shot most of the time. Like she's better when she catches and shoots or catch and shoot in transition, but she's not one that you're going to go, okay, we're going to ISO for her and she's going to make something happen. So that's my question is that's the one hole of South Carolina. When they need a basket, who are they going to? And I think that's the interesting question with them. All right, I really am going to leave now. I do appreciate everybody watching. I've probably gone way too long on this video, but I did appreciate the questions. Yeah, let me know if you liked it or not. I don't know. I don't know if I'm the live stream guy. Maybe I should just leave that to the captain. Maybe because or maybe Quita. Like they do a good job of it. I yeah. So anyway, we'll see what happens. All right. Thanks a lot for watching. Everybody have a great night. See ya.